Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, whenever you're watching this video. Today's subject for me is about judgmental people. And if you think about it, people judge others very, very quickly. They might even say to a friend, look at that dress she's wearing. Or he might say, well, his hair doesn't look cool. And they are just small judgmental things, but it can go deeper than that. People judge others on what car they drive, what house they live in, whether it's rented or bought, or whether it's a new one or an old one. They judge people on where they've come from, what estate they live on. They judge people what they do for a living. If you think about it, people are very judgmental all across the board. And it's because it's been subconsciously imprinted into our minds from when we're younger. I mean, in my case, the reason I've chose this subject, in my case, I had a mother that was terribly judgmental. She would really judge people, how they dressed, what car they drove, where they came from, whether they rented a house or bought a house. She would judge people on whether they lived on an estate or not. She would just judge others all the time. And you can imagine that to a small child, even though she didn't realise I was taking that on, I was taking it on. And you know what happens is we then become very judgmental of ourselves. And other people that judge, really deep down, they're very judging of themselves. And I always say beware, because what you judge about others is really what is going on inside of you. And it's usually because we have low self-worth or low confidence. In fact, we don't even love ourselves. So when people judge others, they do it in a way because it makes them feel better. And again, it's because, like in my case, I used to really beat myself up about what I looked like when I went out, and if her hair was out of place, because those days it was in the 70s and we had fairly long hair and it had to be immaculately in position, and all this stuff, what I didn't realise until decades and decades later, was actually me judging myself. And that's how others judge. They really have got this stuff going on inside and they judge others, and it's ongoing. It's just a subconscious thing we do. And the big question is that you might be asking, well, that's fine, but can it be changed? Of course it can. And it's a bit like the instructions you're given on an aeroplane, the safety instructions, that when the oxygen masks fall down, put yours on first, because you can't help anybody else if you can't breathe. And it's the same with this issue, really. If you're watching this, I firmly believe you're not watching it coincidentally. You've been drawn here, or it's something that you were drawn to listen to. And it could be that you're feeling, or it's come to your conscious awareness, or something's telling you that maybe you ought to look at it. And if that's the case, if you're consciously aware, or any of us are consciously aware how we're judging others, then we can begin the healing. And that really means loving ourselves, looking within rather than externally at what we're wearing, or what car we drive, or what house we've got. And that's, in actual fact, what drives us. That judgmental thing that my mother had in those early years drove me to that I must own my own house, and I always must have a Mercedes or a Range Rover or a Jaguar, something of that ilk, because that defines me, and it doesn't. And that was inside. So when I began to look inside, and I became consciously aware, and I began to snatch these thoughts and I learned to love myself. And there's a great book by Louise Hay called How to Heal Yourself, and that's a fabulous start if you want to dig into it a bit deeper, or if you want to really have a deep conversation with me about it. You may want some coaching around it. Well, if you do, by all means go to my website, stephenbones.com. It is free of charge. Message me. We'll have a conversation, for an initial conversation, which is free of charge. And if you want to go further, that's up to you, but if not, that's fantastic. The choice is yours, my friend. We're here and we all have the power of choice, and whether you choose to look into this any further or not, well, that's great. Nobody here is judging you, I can tell you that. It's your experiences that matter, and it's your life and it's your journey. So thanks very much for listening to me. I do appreciate it. I hope that may have helped you on why others do judge you. And don't, if you have got somebody very self-critical of you, don't let them bother you, because it's themselves they're judging, not you. And I know it's difficult sometimes, but that's how it is. So thanks for listening. Bye for now, and speak soon.